she really did try to convince them to stay. And it was a source of, I think, great disappointment and private hurt and upset that a way couldn't be found for them to stay.
Well, Katie, it is such a great opportunity to get the chance to talk to you, and congratulations on your new book. So tell me, why did you want to write this book?
Well, I started writing it last spring, and I think very mindful. I was told by a courtier at the palace that the death of the Duke of Edinburgh had really forced the focus on the future for the royal family. And I think there was an inevitability about the fact that we weren't going to have the Queen for that much longer. And so I really thought this was the opportunity to write a book that really paid tribute to the Queen's remarkable reign and her incredible legacy. Obviously, there are many biographies about the Queen out there, and you know, I do skip through the reign at quite a pace, I have to say, because as much as this is a book that pays tribute to that, it's also a book that looks to the future and the future of the royal family as well. So I was delighted to speak to a number of people who'd never spoken about their life and work with the Queen, including her late cameraman who worked with her for 40 years and had some lovely stories about the person who wears the crown, because that was what I was really trying to uncover. And I had also spent many years speaking with the Queen's late cousin, Lady Elizabeth Anson. And this was the moment that I knew was right to print some of the exchanges that we had. So it's got that sense of looking back on history in this reign, but very much the thrust of the book is about the new royals, the future, what we can expect of King Charles's reign and what we can expect with the reign of King William and, of course, Queen Consort Catherine, and the promise of what's to come.
Definitely. I mean, of all those stories that you were told, is there one that really stood out to you and could really, you know, kind of encapsulate the essence of who the Queen really was?
Well, yes. I mean, I suppose the one that springs to mind. Well, firstly, I was very, very curious to know what the Queen actually made of Harry's decision to leave the royal family and to stand down. I really wanted to get to the bottom of that, and that was absolutely fascinating insight to really understand what she made of it, and that sense of hurt and disappointment, as you might expect, but also her absolute inability to understand why Harry would really leave and leave that life of duty, which of course, you know, she took on from a very young age as a young queen. I was fascinated to discover that she made what she made of Donald Trump, and that she described him to a source as an enigma. I think that says everything you need to know about the Queen. She's wonderfully diplomatic, but she was as puzzled as many people might be about Donald Trump, particularly, of course, because he broke all sorts of protocol, didn't he, by walking in front of her during that inspection of the Guard of Honor. So I think it was those wonderful little snapshots and insights into her life, how she had a special stepladder commissioned so that when she went on the royal train, she had a special stepladder so that the corgis could get up and down from the train. You know, it was, I suppose, those sort of wonderful insights into her. And for someone who never gave an interview, really, we didn't know what she thought about a lot of events and a lot of what went on. So that was fascinating.
It really is. And, you know, like you said, she didn't really understand why Harry left the royal family. Do you think at the time of her death, did she have an understanding? Did she kind of come to terms with it?
I'm not sure she ever did, truly. You know, she did stay close to Harry. I mean, they have always had a close relationship, and you know, he would call quite frequently. And you know, the Queen took those calls and enjoyed those video calls where she got to see Archie and Lilibet. But I'm not sure she ever did really understand his decisions for leaving. And we know through the statements that she issued that she was, you know, she really did try to convince them to stay. And it was a source of, I think, great disappointment and private hurt and upset that a way couldn't be found for them to stay as working members of the royal family.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like you said, was there a lot of convincing on the royal side to try to get them to stay?
Well, we've heard all about the Sandringham summit. I think, you know, certainly it was the Queen's wish to try and persuade them to stay, and certainly Charles as well had always envisaged that even in his slimmed down monarchy, there were prominent roles to be had for Harry and Meghan. I think the problem was they weren't prominent enough for Harry and Meghan. That idea of being the support act, not just to Charles and Camilla, but of course to William and Catherine, was something that didn't appeal. I think from all the people that I spoke to as well, particularly those who've known Harry for many years, they say that Meghan really was the catalyst for Harry leaving and eventually getting out, because that was something that he'd wanted to do for some time. And in fact, I've spoken to Harry in the past and he'd said to me, I sometimes wish I wasn't a prince. You could see that as much as he used that spotlight that he had as a royal to great effect. I mean, look at the Invictus Games, look at the charity work that he did, look at the support act that he was to his brother for so many years. I think there was a big part of him that actually did want to break free from that life.
For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.